Shutdown crisis grounds flights. What travelers must know. As the ongoing U.S. federal government shutdown stretches on, the country's air travel system is showing strain, and significant flight cut measures are now being imposed. At the heart of the disruption lies operational stress within the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, which says the workforce of air traffic controllers and other critical personnel is increasingly stretched and unpaid, raising safety and logistics concerns. Why flights are being cut. With the shutdown underway since October 1st, thousands of essential federal workers, including about 13,000 air traffic controllers and 50,000 security screeners, have been working without pay, resulting in increased absenteeism and fatigue. The FAA has decided to proactively reduce flight volume in key airports in order to maintain safety margins, citing increased system stress and staffing gaps. The agency believes that without action, the risk of aviation delays or incidents could grow, and is therefore mandating flight reductions rather than waiting for a failure. What the plan looks like. Beginning Friday morning, the FAA issued an order to reduce scheduled daily domestic flights in 40 major U.S. airports by 4%, rising in steps to a total of 10% by around November 14th, if the shutdown continues. These cuts apply to flights between roughly 6 a.m. and 10 p.m., and include passenger, cargo, and some private aviation flights. International flights were initially excluded from the cuts. The FAA warned that up to 20% reduction could become necessary if conditions deteriorate further, although that figure is more a warning of risk rather than an official immediate plan. Impact on travelers. On the very first day of reductions, many flights were canceled or delayed. For example, more than 5,300 flight delays were recorded by early evening at U.S. airports. Major airports are hardest hit. At Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, for instance, flights were averaging 4-hour delays, with roughly 17% canceled and nearly 40% delayed. Airlines such as American Airlines, United Airlines, Delta Airlines, and Southwest Airlines are already rerouting flights and canceling some schedules in response. The impact is particularly concerning ahead of the busy holiday travel season, when airlines typically schedule higher volumes and travelers expect more flexibility. The broader context and stakes. The shutdown has entered the longest in U.S. history, leaving hundreds of thousands of federal workers furloughed or working unpaid. The staffing shortages of the FAA did not begin with the shutdown. A 2023 study found many of the most critical airports were already operating below safe staffing thresholds. The shutdown is exacerbating an existing vulnerability. The decision to cut flights is being presented as safety-driven rather than politically motivated, though critics argue the optics appear connected to pressure on lawmakers to resolve the funding impasse. What travelers should do. If you have upcoming travel, especially domestic U.S. travel through major hubs, New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Atlanta, Los Angeles, etc., check with your airline for possible schedule changes or cancellations. Consider flexible ticket options or altering plans to less crowded airports if possible. Allow extra time for delays, and be prepared for reduced schedules, longer lay times, or reroutes. Monitor official airline notifications and the FAA's announcements, especially if the shutdown continues beyond mid-November. Stay aware of refund policies. The FAA order mandates full refund for canceled flights under the cut schedules.